say.
It's so good. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on Success Without Borders. Today we have Sandy Cafuentes from Vector Bank accompanying us. Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning, America. How are you?
It's like Good Morning, America.
It's like good morning to the world.
We don't want to be copyrighted here.
That is your name.
Well, still. That's funny. It could be worse. I could be called America the Beautiful. See?
Oh, well, there you go.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Sandy, real quick?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sandy Cafuentes. I am a branch manager for Vector Bank, Colorado. I've been in the banking industry for over, 20 years now. Yes, a long time.
Nice. Thank you. Well, the last time you were here, you did a. Oh, watch out, Henry back there. The last time you were here, we did the show in Spanish, so I changed it up a little bit. We're no longer doing gratitudes. We're talking about random acts of kindness that you've received. So what's one random act of kindness that you've received recently that touched your soul?
Okay, so one, it was not, I wouldn't say random, but it was a week ago. I had to be in a meeting, and getting ready to go. I get out of my house, and what did I notice? A flat tire. Okay, so, and this is a meeting on a Sunday. Okay, so I already, I'm trying to figure out, okay, where can I go to get this tire fixed, and the place that I always go to whenever this happens is closed because it's on a Sunday. And I'm like, okay, great, what do I do now? So I sent out a message to a group of friends that I have, honestly not thinking that, I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna be able to help me or not. Like, how do you do this without taking the vehicle to a shop to get the tire fixed, right? And I sent the message out, and right away, a couple of my friends are like, okay, where are you? We can, what is it that, is it a nail? Is it like, what do you see? Send me a picture. And so right away, they went to buy the kit that I didn't know existed, honestly. So they went, got the kit to fix the tire, and one of the other guys, he called me and he's like, do you want me to go pick you up? Do you want me to send you an Uber? And I honestly was not expecting that reaction. I'm like, okay, I'm here on my own, like I need to figure this out, right? But to me, that was an act of kindness and selflessness, because they also had to be in the meeting at the same time I did, but they chose to help me anyway. I was able to get some air on the vehicle, and I was able to drive it to where we were meeting, and they fixed my tire right there and then. So that was, I mean, honestly, I felt loved, from my friends, and I thought that was just amazing, just that feeling that, sometimes we feel that we are alone, whether, it's a flat tire or whether, it's a bigger deal, a bigger issue, and we're not. We just need to ask for help.
Well, that kind of just takes us to the theme of the day.
Yeah.
Which is being a mom, and how thankless this job is for most of us. And we're underpaid, and there is no salary, and we're on 24/7, 365 days a year, forever, because we don't ever stop being moms. Would you agree?
I agree 100%. Yes.
So let's go into that. Sandra, do you have two amigo? Oh, I can't think right now. I was just telling her I needed more coffee. And then Henry's laughing at me saying if coffee was going to make it for me, and I said no, and I won't share the rest.
We're just going to leave it at that.
Yeah, we're just gonna, yeah, we won't share the rest of what I need in my life right now. But Sandy has two amazing, beautiful children. She's a great mom, and she's an inspiration, a leader in her community with everything that she does. She's a branch manager, right? And she's an amazing mom. How do you do it?
Well, let me tell you that what so I love my children, yes, and they are amazing, and they've taught me to be a better person and a better mom for sure, because no one knows how to be a mom or a dad. But the way that I do it, for me, my kids are my priority, and they have been always, and they will always be. The way that I see it is, I plan things around my children's lives and activities, but when it comes to work, it's been challenging. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna lie. It's been challenging because I've always worked. I mean, I've worked probably since I was like 12, 13. And, being a working mom, especially when they were babies, it was so hard. It was so hard for me just to having to, just spend, I don't know, I think it was like maybe 2 months back then that I was able to take off from work and then spend that time with them. And then after that, you have to take them to someone else, and it could be a family member, it could be,
Daycare.
a daycare, and they're so little. And oh my gosh, that is just, it hurts, just for you to drop your baby and then you're away for 8 hours and then you don't see them. And so that part was very challenging, when they're little. When they transition and they start school, they start preschool or elementary school. For me, it was a little bit easier because you take them to school, they're busy, they're learning, and then yes, you're off to work, but also school ends at, I don't know, 2:30, 3:30 sometimes, and then work doesn't end until 5 or 5:30 or sometimes 6. And what do? They also have to be picked up by someone else, or they go to daycare. And my daughter, she's 21 now, but when she was little, I remember her telling me, she's like, Mom, why can't you just pick me up like, my friends' parents, they just get to go home and then I have to go to daycare. Why can't we do that? So, of course, you have to have that conversation with them, and when they're little, when they're like 4 or 5. And it's challenging, but at the same time is rewarding. And the reason why it's rewarding is because you inspire your children. When my daughter was probably 6 or 7, just she was playing around, and I remember my mom and I were sitting in the living room, and she went upstairs, and then she came down wearing my heels, wearing my purse, wearing my blazer, and she's like, "Oh, hi Mom, hi Grandma, I'm going to work." So I mean, I was inspiring her, to maybe just being whatever she wanted to be. But it's give and take. It's challenging, but at the same time inspiring. I don't know if you want to add something, or I can keep going.
Well, yeah, it's hard, right? You said you took 2 months off. I was gonna add, what is time off? Right?
Well, of work.
Oh, exactly.
Yes.
When I had my babies, all three of them. When I had my daughter, my oldest, I took 2 weeks off, if that, and my two babies,
Mhm.
same. It was like 2 weeks, but I was still on call on the computer. I was literally in the delivery room making phone calls, working.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is time off?
And when you really think about it, and we have women, we fought, yes, okay, we want equal pay, which is still not there yet, especially for Hispanic women or minority women. Guys, we are still not getting paid the same, okay? So when it comes to equal pay, equal amount of work, if you want to say that, if you really think about it, we are working two full-time jobs. We're working on whatever our profession is, and we're working full-time, sometimes I would say like overtime at home. But for the guys out there, is it do you guys share those house responsibilities as well? Picking up the children, cooking, doing the laundry,
Cleaning.
grocery shopping, taking care of the little ones. Is that also shared? I, I want to guess that maybe in a lot of situations it's really not. And women are working really hard at, in their profession, in their workplaces, at home with their children. So at the end of the day, yeah, we're tired. We're tired. Like we're exhausted. Um, so just some things to keep in mind, some things to consider, because we think sometimes of a working mom as a superwoman, but that superwoman needs support. They need a community, they need a support, and that could be your family, that could be your sister, your immediate family or friends. And from what I said earlier, um, us working women, we need to also ask for help and support, because sometimes we need a break. We need to take it slow and say, like, you know what, can you take care of the children for a couple of hours? I need some me time. I need to go get me a massage.
I agree. The asking for help is the biggest thing, right? I saw my mom struggle with that a lot. Sorry. Even to this day, sometimes she's like, "Oh, your oldest doesn't do something," or she's like, "Come and do the dishes now." Man, sorry.
Mhm.
And because it's not done when she asked for it, that instant, when she snapped her fingers, she starts doing it. And it's like, didn't you just ask for help? Didn't you just ask us to do this? Oh, well, she didn't do it this instant, so I decided to do it. And then she continues to complain about how we don't do things, right? Or she don't do things.
Mhm.
But it's like, we also got to learn how to wait, and that the world doesn't just move because us moms snap our fingers.
Mhm.
So it's also a give and take, right? The job, we can say we work hard, and sometimes we do have these support systems, we just don't use them.
Mhm.
And then the other part is, right, sometimes we don't have the support system, we do ask for help. And I can say that I've seen it on both sides, with myself, with friends, with family, with clients, right, where the other spouse on both sides, they do things, let's call it halfways or on purpose, to not be asked to do it
Mhm.
again. Or, as I won't say who told me this, but this was a man. Oh, I hear my wife complaining. I just decide I don't want to hear her. I pretend I don't hear her, so she does it herself.
That's terrible.
So, I think we forget that this is a partnership, and there's a lot of women out there that do it alone, right? And not because you do it alone doesn't mean there isn't that support system, there isn't the I need that break. So, uh, what does Alexis say? I can't read. When dads get sick, we turn to babies. When mom gets sick, the world keeps spinning, and they gotta keep going. That is true. That is very true, Alexis. You are right.
So, and that makes me think of communication, right? Communication with your children, being present, and also with your partner, but because we are talking about working moms, how are you really communicating with your children? How are you connecting with your children?
Well, let's go back to our parents, right?
Yeah.
Because back in the day, in our community, our grandparents had 7, 12, 15 children.
14.
14, like wow. Is that how much? How many?
Yes, my grandparents, yes.
Whew.
On one side, and then 12 on the other.
It's a big family.
It
We
is
got big
a
families.
lovely big family, yes.
And it's like, how did they do it, right? Sometimes we're like, oh, I understand, Mom, why you don't hug me, because you didn't have it either. And it's that part, right, of how do you manage washing for 14 kids, cooking, making sure everyone goes to bed, making sure everyone goes to school, making sure everyone is alive on top of that.
Yes.
Well, let's put it into perspective, being pregnant for, let's call it 15 years of your life.
No.
I could barely survive with 3.
Oh my God, yeah, no.
And sometimes I guess we don't put that into perspective, right? I'm like, they were pregnant, they were watching all these kids, and yeah, sometimes the oldest had to pitch in to help with the little ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can say, oh, birth control or whatever, but that didn't exist back then. So, being a mom is hard. It's undervalued. It's at some point, I don't know. I see the other coin, the other side of the coin too, where I see moms or I see women that are provided for
Mm-hmm.
by their spouses, by their partners, and they don't support. They just do. I don't know. Maybe it's because we work, and maybe I'm judging here, and you guys can judge me by my opinions. Maybe it's jealousy or envy, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I agree with you that we need to put things on perspective and understand our parents and also our grandparents. We need to understand how they grew up, and this is actually a conversation that I had with one of my cousins a while ago when he came to visit. There was, complaints and like, hey, we need to realize that, our grandparents grew up without any.
Alexa said we listen and we don't judge.
Yes, no, right. Yes, Alexis, you're right. We listen, we don't judge. But we need to understand that, our grandparents and sometimes, our parents, they grew up with no emotional connection to their parents whatsoever. So we need to, now that, we are a little bit more conscious about those things, we have to give them grace
We do.
for the way that they grew up. And also, of course, ourselves learn and understand, where we come from and the things that we've learned that will make us a better parent. And how are you connecting with your parent? How are you with your children? How are you present with your children? Because let me tell you something, if you're on your phone and your kid is on your phone, that is not connecting. How are you really connecting, and how are you communicating and listening to your children? Because, sometimes they tell us a lot of things and we're not listening. We're not listening because they could be saying, I'll give you an example. A while ago, I still do it, not as much, but a while ago.
We listen and we don't
Yes,
judge.
we listen and we don't judge. So aside, and this is going back to that, working 2 full-time jobs, I would come home and what do I see? I see that, the house needs to be clean, that, we need to cook dinner, that, we need to finish homework, we need to have, the kids ready for the next day and yourself ready for the next day. So you're on the go. You're go, 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 go. So with my son, he tells me when he was little, when he was like 4 years old, he was, Mom, you're always working. Why don't you sit down and take a break? What was he telling me? He wanted my attention. He wanted to connect with me. And what did I say at that time? I'm like, well, let me just finish this. I just need to finish this. I'll be there like in 2 minutes. I'll go sit down in just a little bit. But I now I see it. But back then, I didn't see that, that was his way of telling me, like, Mom, I need your attention. I need you to play with me. I need you to be with me. Um, Things are different now. We definitely, actually last on Thursday, because I was off and he didn't have school. I told him, I'm like, this day it's for you and me. Like, what is it that you want to do? Do you want to go to the movies? Do you want to go bowling? It's so that you and I can have fun. And that's what we did. We went to the movies. We had some ice cream after that. And trust me, the conversations that we have are very, very different and very intentional. And I'm there just listening to him, listening to what he has to share, and we're connecting on a whole different level. And it's been amazing.
Something that I've implemented on that side, right, is going back to we're on 24/7, is if I'm doing dishes, if I'm cooking, I have them right there in the kitchen with me, and we're talking while I'm doing. They're tasting with me. They're helping me wash dishes. Sometimes it's annoying because they're just in the way. But it's a way of us
True.
connecting, right? And I don't know. Sometimes my oldest, and sometimes I don't feel like I'm doing enough, and I'm sure you feel that way, right? We feel like we're not doing enough for our kids, which goes back to this job is hard because we go out and we're badasses at being a branch manager and being leaders and doing all these amazing things, and sometimes we are always feeling like we're falling short at home with our kids, and we forget to ask them for feedback. So I started asking my kids for feedback because then that tells me that I'm being successful with them, right? So one day my oldest comes to the room. She's like, Mom, you're right. What are you talking about? Like, what am I not right about all this? And she's like, well, I was talking to a friend and he was complaining that he feels alone, and she's like, what are you talking about? You have your mom and your siblings. And she's like, well, he tells me that she makes dinner and everyone's off to the room. She's like, and that reminded me that every time that you make dinner, you make us come and sit down and get off our phones and have conversation with you and engage with you, and you make us do these things that sometimes I find annoying. She's like, but I take it for granted. And she just starts crying. She's like, but you're so right. You always tell me this, and not everyone has this. I'm like, okay, what is this? So like the relationship that we have, the time that you put into us, right? That I'm like, oh, I thought I wasn't doing enough, but to you, you're saying that it is enough and you value it. So thank you, right? Like, there's that contrast, right? Of sometimes we have to ask our kids, like, how do you feel? And I've asked these questions, and I guess one of the biggest achievements that I've heard from my kids, right, is that they feel safe with me. Like, it doesn't matter if the world's burning around us, they feel safe. And that to me is success. How do you define success as a mom, Sandra?
For my kids to trust me, for them to also feel safe, that for them to feel happy, for them to feel that, they can be anything, that they can really accomplish anything, that whatever dreams they have, they know that they can accomplish, and more than anything, that they can count on me, that they have me to guide them and support them, and give them advice. Sometimes they really don't want it, but then they realize they do, because they're smart, and they're going to realize maybe sooner or later, like, okay, my mom was right. I remember my mom said, and she's right. And actually, my kids have also told me that, like, oh my gosh, Mom, you're so smart. They actually have said that.
You are smart.
And of course, I'm like, yes, I know. No, that's not what I say. But it's
That's
just
that pat on the shoulder back.
I mean, success is with the way that it really reflects with your kids is a lot of things. It's not just one thing. It's more importantly is the relationship that you have with your kids. The way that you show up for your kids and the way that they feel, that the confidence that they get from having those conversations with you, the confidence that they get when you're giving them that advice, and then when they're out with their friends and then it hits them, and then they think, okay, this is why my mom said this and that, and you know she's right. And when, I guess another way is when they're out there and they know how to make a smart decision, a good decision, because you've laid a really solid foundation of those values that in our culture are so important. You know, it's like respecting your elders, you know, saying please and thank you, you know, be kind to your friends. And it's just, I feel like when you really have set those foundations and they, when they're little and you teach them all those values, and when they grow older and they're out there in the world with their friends, they'll remember. To me, that is success for them. Why? Because they're going to know how to make a smart decision, and you know what is, you know, good and bad, and hopefully because you've built that for them, they will make a good smart decision. And it's okay if they don't, because you know then we can I don't want to say reinvent, I can't find the word, but redirect, yeah. And then you know go from there, because no one is perfect. Mom is not perfect, dad is not perfect, kids are not perfect, but it's really laying that foundation and having them be a good human, you know, when they grow up, be a good person, be a loving person, and wanting to help others as well. It's like really how are they showing up in the world? You know?
You said something that your kid said, "Oh, mom's right." What is, and I know there's a few. What is a few? What are a few things that come to mind? You're like, "Ah, my mom was right."
My mom?
Yes, because we're
One
also daughters. So, what are a few things that she told you growing up that just like our kids, right, like to argue and not listen, and then now that you're a mom, you're like, oh, it dawned on you that it's like, wow, she was right.
So one thing that comes to mind is some my mom has always said, you know, do really good and be amazing at what you do at work, but don't forget about yourself. Don't forget about yourself. Don't forget that yes, you can give it 100% on what you're doing, but remember that you come first, your family comes first, and I really I enjoy my time off, guys, okay? So whenever I show up, if I'm gonna be at work, I'm gonna be there 100%. If I'm with my kids, I'm going to be there 100%. And also when I'm taking time off, I want to make sure that I'm enjoying my time off 100%. And I remember that because you know she didn't do that for herself, and that's the reason why you know she tells me, she's like, don't forget, you know, just if you have time off, enjoy your time off. Don't be the person that, okay, well, I'll wait until the end of the year just to take some time off. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Um, and something else that I can think of is, you know, just be helpful. And I mean, it's not that I haven't been, but my mom is so kind and she's so giving and selfless, um, that you know she is right in the way that it doesn't matter like if you're giving, there's always going to that whatever you're giving, there's always going to find a way to come back. So give without an expectation. That's what I'm trying to say. Just give with love, and sometimes the other person doesn't have anything to give at that time, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to come back to you.
Those are some good words from
Yeah.
Mama Sandy there.
From bless you.
Thank you. Sorry, still trying to get better from last week. Um, what is one thing, or I know there's a few, but what is one thing that you've put aside for yourself, goals, dreams, since you became a mom?
Really good question. What could that be? I would say graduating college.
Okay.
But I mean, it was not just because I became a mom. It was just a lot of different things happening, and but I mean, it can be done, right? It can still be done, but I just don't see it that way. I just, we go through life and we have different situations that maybe are holding us back at that moment, but it doesn't mean that you can't start on, what was left off and finishing at a later time.
Here, I'll give you an example, and it doesn't mean, right, that like you said, it doesn't mean that we can't do it or
Right,
anything.
right.
I just feel like, as a mom, we always put, like you said, right now, even to this day, you're like, I put my whole life revolves around my kid's schedule, and then it's work, and then it's maybe you, right? So then in that aspect, right, you're putting yourself last in that patriarchy of three, in a sense, right?
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
And it's not bad, because in anything and everything that we do in this life, it comes with sacrifice. If you want a career, you're gonna sacrifice your free time hanging out with your friends, going out, drinking, partying, whatever. If you want to be a mom, there's gonna be sacrifice, right? So I want you to hopefully see it that way, in the sense of like, you didn't graduate college. Yes, there was all these things going on, but you decided that being a mom, being present, being a provider was more important than this, and that's okay. Right? We have to prioritize things in life.
Right.
Yes, it can be done, but at what cost? At the cost of you not being there for your kids, at the cost of what, right? For example, I don't know, we go to a lot of events and networking events, and I have all these people are like, oh, we didn't see you at so and so event, and I'm like, I have my kids. And a lot of them are like, like, it's like, to me, it's not a bother that I missed this event because I had my kids.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So I'm going to sacrifice the going out, the partying, the traveling, right? That's something that I've thought about myself is, I see all these people going out and traveling and doing all these things. And it's like, but I decided to be a mom. And sometimes that means sacrifice. And I don't need to go and travel right now. Maybe I can do it in the future, right? It just, we got to pick and choose our priorities.
100%. So when you said, the thing is that sometimes, we see things that we can have one thing, but we can't have the other. But we could have both. It will require probably more work, right? More
time, money, and effort.
Yes, exactly. so we can have the best of both worlds, but it's going to require a lot more effort. And are we willing to put that effort, that extra effort?
And again, that sacrifice, right? Because at some point, if we want everything, where's that time for, like your mom said, for you? Where's that time for you to rest? Where's that time for this or that, right? And again, there are moments in your life as a mom, as a parent, that you are going to sacrifice your rest for your goals, for your children. and that is okay. It you and it just depends what is all that you want,
Mhm.
right? Because you can go to college, you can work, you can be a mom, but you're gonna not rest, you're not gonna see your friends, so it's
Mhm.
always there's always going to be a sacrifice.
Mhm.
What are you willing to sacrifice? I was part of a conference earlier this year, and it's like women can have everything without sacrificing, and I disagree with that. You're always gonna sacrifice something. You're gonna sacrifice your faith. Are you gonna really gonna go every weekend to church? Are you gonna sacrifice your friends, right? You're gonna sacrifice, or are you gonna try and do everything and burn yourself out? There's going to be something that you have to give up.
Mhm. I agree, and I think of putting yourself first, since you mentioned it. We have to, and it's something that I've had to learn, because it was that, yes, my kids, are number one, and I have to make sure that they're well taken care of. But then you come to realize that if you're not okay, then how are you going to be okay for your children? So you have to be, yeah, you have to take that time to, for me, is workout. And I told you last time, that is non-negotiable. Like, that is me time. Going to get a massage, maybe it's not as often as, I wish, but I have it on my calendar. Um, the workout thing is, it happens all the time. It's a non-negotiable, and my kids know that. And now, so actually, what we've been doing is I have my son work out with me, and he'll go and do, I don't know, like 10 push-ups, or 10 sit-ups, and then he's like, okay, mom, I'm done with my workout. But they know is my time, and they understand that, and they respect that. So it's thinking about, and honestly, this is true. We really need to think about, how are we taking care of ourselves? How are we taking care of ourselves? How are we, if how do we want to show up for our kids or family? Because if we're not taking that time to decompress, or maybe just go out for and have a walk, or just take some time to think, how are we showing up for our children? Are we going to, be all stressed out and mad, and then take it on them?
Yeah, and that's again what goes back to
Yeah,
that, right? If
yeah,
you're doing everything, the
right.
sacrifice is your mental and emotional well-being,
Mhm.
right? And it kind of goes back to what they say at the airport. If there's an emergency, who do you have to take care of first? Yourself. You can't help anyone if you're not good.
Mhm.
And it goes same for us moms, right? We're not gonna be good parents. We're not gonna be good moms. We're not gonna be good leaders if we don't put ourselves first. And it's
Yes.
hard. I agree with you. That's something I've been working on these last 3 years, and it's been hard. But it is doable. Again, there's been some sacrificing in other areas of my life, but once you start seeing the benefits of that, right? My kids see me happy. And if my kids see me happy, I transmit that to them. Again, it goes back into the safety, into that they feel secure, they feel open, I feel welcoming, instead of me being angry and being on the phone 24/7 because I'm at work after hours, right? It's that being open, so there's always got to be a sacrifice in my eyes.
And something else that comes to mind is, for me, having a relationship with my kids, and not just my kids, but my family, my parents, my siblings. I think relationships are so important, and sometimes we don't, sometimes we take them for granted, or sometimes we don't really give it the value that they truly are. Because, I mean, time, we know that is not going to come back. Money goes, it comes and goes. But those relationships, that the people that you have in your life, they're going to be there, most of them, for the rest of your life. Your kids are going to be there, for the rest of your life, your parents, your siblings. And the moments and the time that you get to, I don't know why, but I don't like the word spend when we say, I spend time with my kids. I don't know why.
Let's change it to invest. You
that's
invest
what I say.
time now.
That, yes. So the time that you invest with your children and with your family, those relationships, honestly, that's really what counts. And when it comes to having a a community that supports you when you're a working mom, those are also relationships. So, we're talking about, being giving and also receiving, and being okay with receiving. It's it's a lot to do with the relationships and the people that we have in our life. And sometimes we want to make sure that we have the right people in our life, that we have the right support in our life, because, I mean, trust me, you do want to, you know, go and see, and if that person is a part of that community that you're gonna trust and they're gonna be there for you, or if it's, just someone that maybe you, I don't know, see once in a while, but you really don't invest that much in that relationship. So it's really, it comes down to the time that you invest with your kids, the time that the communication that you have with your kids, for them to understand that yes, you're a working mom, but there is a reason and a purpose of why you're working. And actually, I mean, it's not a bad thing. You're showing them that you can do not just work at your job or your business, but then be a part and have a solid relationship with your family. You're inspiring them. You are being a leader, and we talked about being a leader. We are leaders everywhere. We are leaders with our family, with our communities, at work. But everything that we do, they see. They can see, what we're doing, what we're not doing, and how do you want to show up for your kids? How do you want to inspire them? How do you want them to, remember you?
And that goes back to how you showed up for them, even if you didn't or did, right? They're gonna see everything that you did,
Yeah.
and that's kind of like your legacy.
Mm-hmm.
The human beings that you leave behind are your legacy. You either did a good job or you didn't.
No, you're right. You're right.
And that to me is success, right? Like you said, is I wanna make sure that my kids turn out to be good human beings and have morals and values that I agree with, because I was listening to my mentor. You don't even know he's my mentor. I'll tell you who he is later. And it's like back in the 50s, there's the morals that were accepted and the values that were accepted back then. There's things that were acceptable back then that you can't do now that are not acceptable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I think, ingraining that into our kids, not even ingraining it, teaching them, right, what it is that you think is right and wrong, because what I think is right and wrong isn't what you think is right or wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
It isn't what you think is right or wrong. It's a personal decision, and based on perspective, and based on what we all live on a day-to-day, right? And sometimes we forget that we as leaders in our household, as moms, we can say to our kids, and I can't deal with double standards. That's where this is going, where I see a lot of parents say one thing but do the opposite. For example, it's like, oh, you teenager, don't communicate with me, yet you as an adult don't communicate correctly, or don't try to learn to communicate with your peers, with your family, with your spouse, right? But you expect them to communicate clearly with you. That's, you gotta be that leader. You gotta lead by example. It's not the words that come out of your mouth that are gonna make a difference in those kids' lives. It's how you walk the walk and talk the talk.
Mhm. Yes. How are you showing up? Like I said earlier, and something that comes to mind too is that it's not only your kids, it's your nieces and nephews. It's maybe your siblings too that you are sometimes we go out about our day or work day or social media or whatever events, but people are watching you. People watch what you do, what you say, how you communicate, and think about that. Think about, do you want to be an inspiration for others, or like what is it that you want people to see in you?
Let's change that to a positive inspiration.
Yeah.
Because there's people out there that are inspirations for others, but there is no positive behind that.
Well, yes, I'm talking on the positive side.
There's a lot of people out there inspiring hate right now.
No, of course, we're talking about positive inspiration. Like, you want to be that for other people. You want to be that for your kids, and that is the reason why I bring it up, is because you want to create conscious about how are you inspiring people. Is it in a positive way, or is it in a negative way? And you're right. I mean, right now there are people, I guess, recruiting or inspiring people to be
Hateful.
bad, hateful. Um, but let's do the opposite. Let's inspire people to be,
To love thy neighbors, sis.
yeah, to show love and kindness for each other, and especially for our children. When we're talking about inspiring your children to inspire other children to be kind and be a good friend. My son was telling me that there is a new kid in his classroom, and I asked him, well, have you talked to them? And I said, boy or girl? And he's like, it's a girl. And I said, well, have you talked to her? Have you made friends with her? He's like, no, not yet. I'm gonna talk to her today. And I said, well, make sure you do, because since she's a new kid, she probably doesn't have a lot of friends at this new school for her. So make sure that you're talking to her, make friends with her, and make her feel that she's welcome. So also, have your children do that for their friends and with their friends, because honestly, it's crazy out there with kids, and it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary. So we need to be, and that's the other thing, we need to be aware of what is, what are their friends talking to them about, and what is it that, especially with social media, my son does not have a phone. He's 11, and he keeps asking for a phone, and I keep saying no, and there's a reason why.
Do you tell him why?
Yes.
What is the reason why?
Because there is, well, number one, because he will be distracted. It would be a distraction, for him when it comes to school and homework, because I know he's going to want to be playing and talking with his friends. So that's a conversation that we had. Not only that, but he's going to want to watch videos or YouTube or whatever that may be, or be on um, maybe a Snapchat. Um, and he's not ready for that. He's 11. He's definitely not ready to have a phone or to be on social media. I do allow him to watch some videos on my phone, but I'm watching with him. He's not watching them alone, so I know what he's watching.
So now we gotta add this layer to being a mom, right? Parent. Is that not only while our grandparents had to take care of 15 kids, right? Now we don't gotta take care of 15 kids. We gotta take care of the whole world, because our kids have the whole world in their hands, right? And we don't know who's on the other side of the screen. You add that layer to everything on top of everything that we're doing, because in today's day, right? Even if you're a couple, most couples have to work, right? you can't make it off one income anymore. So both parents have to work, and there's all kinds of things that go on that we gotta be prepared for. On top of just being a mom and everything that we just said, right? There's so many layers to being a parent. What would you say to your daughter if she decides? What's some advice maybe that you've thought about giving her or have given her about her becoming a parent?
We've had that conversation, and right now she tells me that she does not want to have children because she sees that it's a lot of work. She's like, well, Mom, if I'm gonna be working, she's an engineer. She'll be graduating in May, and she's like, if I'm gonna be at work and doing all these projects, like I won't have time. And she is, I mean, I give her credit for thinking that way. She's like, I'm not gonna have time to take care of a little person, a baby. And I said, well, I understand, and I understand that's how you feel right now, but maybe things will change in the future. And I said, either way, I support you if you want to have children or if you don't. I support her 100% on whatever she decides, but I also let her know that maybe it'll change in the future. Maybe in the future she's going to want to have children. Maybe her career is going to be different, or maybe she's going to manage her career a different way. Right now she's starting, right? So she's just, that's what she's thinking about, her career and traveling and just enjoying herself, which I'm proud of her for doing that. So I would say, just take the time that you need to know yourself, understand yourself, and know where you're at in life, and you'll know. She'll know, when she's ready or if she's not ready, and like I said, that's okay either way. So we've had that conversation, and she's like, I don't know if I can do what you do, Mom. Like working and coming home and helping with homework and cooking dinner and then cleaning and then getting ready and then just make sure that we're safe and we have everything that we need. It's a lot. It's a lot. But communication is great, especially with, I mean, your kids. You want to have that communication and being honest and having that honest communication with them. That, I mean, bad things are happening, but at the same time, good things are happening, and of course, we don't want to focus on the negative, but we don't want to avoid not talking about that because it's a real thing. And